Hey everybody, Kim here with Little Biz Resources. Let me see if we are actually live here, and hope we are. It looks like we are. Let's see if we have sound. Yep, we do. All right, perfect. So now as we get started, I'm going to give it just a second I'm going to share it into our Facebook group. And as we get going here, by the way, Merry Christmas. We are, 2 days away from that. So, yeah, Merry Christmas to all those who celebrate Christmas. Happy holidays to those who prefer that terminology. It's almost here. It's crazy. It's been pretty crazy around here. And I'm sure it's been crazy everywhere. Going to the stores is just insane. What do I say? We are live. And I apologize if my voice sounds a little funny. My asthma's been kind of acting up today. So it's just one of those things. Gotta live with it, right? All right. So let's talk marketing, omnipresence, multi-channel selling, and multiple income streams. And these are not necessarily, obviously marketing and selling are two different acts for the same thing. So part of the reason why I kind of wanted to talk about this now is because this is something that we've been talking about with our marketplace, right? So first of all, marketing omnipresence is the idea that you're going to be marketing on as many channels as possible. Now, if that means two, that's two, right? Ideally, you get as many as you can, but you never want to have just a primary. You want at least a primary and a secondary. And yes, I am using Canva for those who have never seen Canva before. You're going to want at least a primary and a secondary. And that's because what happens if something happens to your first one, right? We have this has been going on a lot lately where something has shut down. Facebook shut down for various reasons. We had, massive outages. So Facebook had a couple different outages, I think. One big one where it was 6 hours because they did an update into blocking themselves out of their buildings and stuff. Yay, Facebook. Good job there. Yeah, so there's different things that affect your marketing. If you are on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, if you're on Instagram, if you're on Pinterest, we had, back in, I think last August, there was this mass shutdown of accounts on Pinterest, right? A lot of people got swept up in it. One of my accounts did. I got it back within a couple of hours because I did nothing wrong. So yes, you might be able to recover from it, but if you have a primary channel that you're marketing to and everybody's coming in through that channel and something happens to it, you have to be able to still bring in other people. So ideally, you have as many as you can. And for some, that's just 2 channels. For others, that's 5 channels, 6 channels. And we're going to talk more about automation as we go into 2022. And we'll dive more into how to do that, how to set it up, etc. So you can be on multiple channels. So that will be one of our shifts away from probably services, because those will be done at the beginning of 2022. Like in January, I think the services will be done, but now you can sell stuff, right? If you were doing services. So now let's jump into multi-channel selling. So what does that mean? Now that's for people who are in retail, and that's for people who are selling on marketplaces. And a good example of this is if you're selling on Etsy or Amazon or any other marketplace, and that's your only source of selling, and it gets shut down, which I can tell you, hop into any group that's on e-commerce and that focuses on it. And, I am in multiple Etsy groups, and I cannot tell you the number of people getting shut down for no reason. There probably is a reason, but they can't get the reason from Etsy. Amazon, same thing. Just yesterday, I think I screenshotted somebody saying, why did my Amazon account get shut down? I have no information, nothing. And this is what happens when you cannot control the particular platform. You are at the mercy of, whatever entity it is that you have put your products into. So if you are only selling on one channel, and I understand, people selling on Etsy, typically they're selling on Etsy because they're handmade products, right? While Amazon has handmade, the percentages are so much higher that it seems like it's easier just to stay on Etsy and not do anything. Now, multi-channel could simply be on a marketplace and on your own site, or on a marketplace, on our marketplace, and on your own site, or something, right? It could just be on 2 locations. It could be, hey, I have my PayPal account set up so people can go ahead and hit buy now. there's a lot of different ways that you could do multi-channel. And obviously, the more channels, the more your reach. But I'll tell you what, I have, I talk about my EP laser company, which technically doesn't exist anymore, but I still have a lot of the product and I still sell it. And I sell primarily on Amazon. And I have a secondary account on Etsy. I do like no sales on Etsy. In fact, I shut it down for this year because it was such a pain. I'm like, it's not worth opening. But I'm also on Walmart. So so that was 3 right there. And I kept Walmart. I accidentally kept Walmart open, but I kept Walmart open and I kept Amazon open, and for the bulk of the season, and I did pretty good. I did some good sales there. So, I mean, not great considering that Amazon messed up my account during 2020, but that's again, we're at their mercy. So this is where it goes into, you need to be on multiple channels, because if something happens to one, and this also goes to your own website. People think, oh yeah, if I have my own website on Shopify, I'm exempt from any problems because it's my website. And it's their hosting, right? It's their hosting. So no, anybody and everybody can get shut down at any point in time. You can get, delisted from Google. There's so many things that can happen. You need to have multiple ways of marketing people, multiple ways of selling to people. Then the third point I wanted to make is that multiple income streams as well. Now, everybody talks about multiple income streams forever, right? And it used to be, get in the stock market. I am not telling you to jump into the stock market. If you want to, that's your prerogative. I'm just saying, you've got to think that, especially with what happened with the, more recent events with the pandemic and everything, you have to think about what happens if you think about your supply chain, or think about your current processes. Are you able to continue if something happens to them? And this goes back to my background in business continuity planning, emergency management and business continuity planning. And that is, if there's a disruption anywhere, where can something disrupt you, first of all? And then if there is a disruption, how are you going to overcome it? Now, I'm not going to say that, because I did actually see it. I did not know the pandemic was going to happen, but I knew one day in my life I would see that. And it was always a concern of mine, like what would happen. That's why I was pro drones. When Amazon announced drones, I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be amazing. E-commerce will never go down. And they never got their drone program off the ground. So I was a little disappointed, because I thought that would be perfect if we ever had a pandemic. And then lo and behold, we have one, and their drone program isn't existing. So I was extremely disappointed by that, Amazon. But if they had a drone program, or if we had something like that set up, that would have, probably, at least for a little bit, lowered the burden on at least delivery of logistics, right? We can't really do much about shipping from another country, because I don't think you can do that with a drone. That would be just like putting on a plane. And that challenge already exists, and there's not really much we can do about that. And so that's like an entire, logistics is something I'm not going to tackle. But you've got to think about logistics, obviously, if you have physical products and you're purchasing from overseas, and then all of a sudden something happens, whether it's, the ship. I've heard of logistic companies going, this is before the pandemic, by the way. I've heard of logistic companies, they go out of business, like literally while the ship is in the sea, and they just kind of leave them out there. I'm like, what? How does that even happen? But apparently it does. And it happened quite a bit through one of the groups that I'm in there. We sell on Amazon, and we learn how to sell on Amazon and everything else. And people were talking about it left and right. They're like, oh my gosh, I just paid for all this product, and it was shipping to me. It's in the middle of the ocean somewhere, and I just was notified the company went out of business, and the ship isn't going anywhere now. Like, it's not going anywhere. And so their product was literally stuck. Their money was tied up in it and everything. And so, yes, you can have insurance. Yes, you can do all these things. But where I feel that it's the most important is that you look at, how can I add in a second way to make money? And of course, some of the methods that we've talked about in the past have been, of course, if you're not doing e-commerce, you could do e-commerce. Oh, this is going to be way too big, right? So we'll make that a little bit smaller. Let's make that like 50. Yeah, that's probably pretty good, right? Move this up. All right, so we're going to say e-commerce. Let's make this a prettier color. Maybe a green, since we're talking money. We could do selling services, right? You can do selling online services. We could do, let's see, what other things we've talked about? Oh, affiliate marketing. That's a good one. Now, affiliate marketing, for those who don't know, obviously e-commerce, selling physical products or digital products, either one, online. Pretty simple. Selling services, you can do that online. There is an element, depending on how you set that up, and this is what we've talked about in our services series, is that some services are, you need to exchange your time for money. But the idea is to sell services where you don't spend a lot of time and you still get recurring income from them. Right? So for example, local SEO services or search engine optimization services. If you're selling those services to a company and you're generating monthly revenue from that and you're setting up the systems that do, the optimization and do those, the different elements for you, then you are just managing the account and now it's doing all of the time part for you. So now you're not exchanging your time for money as much. Now, affiliate marketing is one where you promote other people's products and you make a commission off of that. And that's something that we talk about a lot because that's something that I think anybody can hop into completely free, right? Then we have, and in e-commerce, I'm going to also put print on demand, because e-commerce can be a whole variety. And so e-commerce also has drop shipping. So we've got drop shipping, and of course, print on demand is kind of a hybrid. If I spell that word, that's a better word. So drop shipping is when you're drop shipping other people's products. They're making them, they're probably making them overseas and having them shipped in. We saw a challenge getting product when we were doing drop shipping, which is a model we'll be talking about at the end of January again. We did see a challenge in 2020. Not so much in 2021. I mean, obviously there's still some products that are harder to get in than others. But we've noticed that there was a massive problem even with local companies because they were bringing the product in and they couldn't get it in, right? Because everything was stopped for logistics again. But print on demand is more of a hybrid model. And yes, there were some challenges with that. And that's just because print on demand requires people to still make the product. And even if it's not you, it's somebody. And wherever they were located, there were guidelines and everything because of COVID regulations. So there's challenges with every business model. And this is the thing you have to think of when you're thinking of multiple income streams is, okay, I need to have multiple ways to make money. So if you're in e-commerce, you don't have to pick print on demand and drop shipping and manufacture your own products and, whatever else. You don't have to do just e-commerce. You could put one in e-commerce. And if you want to dabble in services, which not everybody does, I get that. If you want to dabble in services and offer different services, you could do that. Or you can even include affiliate marketing. And so the two that we've really focused on as for us has been e-commerce, and we resell products. So we actually physically have them and resell them. We manufacture products, of course, like EP Laser. And then we did a little bit of drop shipping. We had to stop drop shipping there when we got really busy with our companies, which I guess technically we're still selling, so what does it matter? And then print on demand, right? So we like the print on demand model because we can still test designs. It's still unique. It's kind of that hybrid of we've made it, but somebody else is creating it and drop shipping it for us. So that's more of that hybrid model. And that's why we really like that one. It's not as easy to make money with print on demand. So that's why we like our resale and our manufacturing, because we can make more money with those. And of course, with drop shipping, you're going to have whatever profit you put in there. Then for selling services, you can make whatever amount you want. And of course, I've talked about this before. It's difficult to get clients. I understand that. But if once you start getting the clients, it's really easy to build up to that, $100,000 a year in recurring revenue because you are selling services that you're offering on a monthly basis or on a regular basis, at least. Then affiliate marketing, of course, this is one where we recommend you dabble in both high ticket and then bring in some lower ticket ones and find your mix, whatever your niche is. And, you can make $100,000 a year easily with affiliate marketing once you get there, right? I haven't got there, but I also haven't focused on it. And that's why, each one of these is difficult to do. And so, yes, everybody has talked about in the past, focus on one and then add in others. And I get that. But here's what you need to start thinking is what are going to be my primary and secondary channels, right? And let's say And again, we'll talk more about this as we get into 2022. But let's say that if you're on Facebook, or well, since we're on YouTube, let's talk about YouTube. So let's say you're on YouTube as a primary, you have email as a secondary, right? Maybe you decide, you know what, I don't want just email because I'm not very good at it. I don't have a good platform. I'm still kind of sketchy at it. Maybe you make that as a building. You're going to build, I'm going to go dabble. You're going to dabble in email because you're just like, hey, I need to learn more about that. So maybe you do YouTube as your primary, and then you look at Pinterest, right? Pinterest as a secondary. Pinterest as a secondary, and then you dabble in email. You are now officially in multiple marketing and multiple methods, right? Now, I know everybody wants to jump to Facebook. I don't know why. I really do not know why. I can say Facebook was great back in maybe 2013, 2014. It was great to be able to get on and do stuff, but it is really, really hard to get on and make any movement with it. So if you're like, hey, I've tried Facebook and it didn't work for me. Okay, try a different one, right? You're like, and the problem is you have to give it time. You know, we talked about this in another video where we said you have to give yourself enough time to test. You need to give yourself enough time for things to get into effect and to be able to gather information, right? And so, like, one of the things, so I'm actually decided that I was going to do a YouTube training. Like, I mean, I'm not going to teach it. I'm taking one because I'm like, you know what? I like YouTube. I'm clearly doing something wrong because I'm not reaching enough people. And now I know why, because the first video taught me why. And I was like, oh, yeah, I guess that's true. So I just need to stay the course. And that was one thing that kind of like triggered me thinking about it. Like, you know what? That's true. A lot of people now, if they've ever been on Pinterest, as an example, back in, 3 years ago, before Pinterest went public, yeah, Marjorie, I know Facebook marketing seems to be working for some people, and I would be interested to know if they're paying for it. The marketplace. Oh, yeah. The marketplace is good. And I say that. It depends. Because the marketplace has a reach of like 500 miles or something. So and this is where it's like some people are going to do well on a marketplace, depending on their product. They're going to do well hopping on the Facebook marketplace. I will tell you, when I was in Utah, the marketplace in the Salt Lake area was almost exclusively, I don't want to say junk products. That's not what I want. I want used products, tools. It was basically Craigslist. And I was going, you can't really sell brand new products to people or do drop shipping or do that kind of stuff in that type of marketplace. And of course, if you're drop shipping or you're selling the same products as everybody else, you're going to be competing with everybody else as well. And then you're competing on price, and that doesn't really work out that great on any marketplace, let alone the Facebook marketplace. Here in Nevada, we're in northern Nevada, and when you go onto the marketplace, it's the same thing. It's garage sales. And so the marketplace might be working for some people and some products, but that's where you have to test. And again, if you're not giving yourself enough time to test that, or enough, so for example, if you're drop shipping and you're on the Facebook marketplace, if you put 5 products on there and you're like, hey, I didn't get any momentum whatsoever. Yeah, that's because you put 5 products on there. Once you hit 1,000, let me know, and then I'll tell you you're doing something wrong or right or whatever, because it's just one of those things you have to test. Same thing with Amazon. I got really lucky. I'm not going to say really lucky. There was a lot of work that went into when I started selling on Amazon, and I switched to Fulfilled by Amazon and sent my products in. I had done a lot of research before I did this. And so I did, tens of thousands of dollars in sales in one product. And you go, wait, that's not a lot. It is when you're selling ornaments. When you're selling laser cut ornaments, it's a lot, right? This was something that nobody was doing back then. And I had done the research, and I said, look, there's a demand for, at the time, it was pharmacist ornaments or pharmacy ornaments. And I said, there's a huge demand. There's 23 products that showed up in results. And after number 6, they didn't even relate to pharmacist ornaments. So I created mine, and we sold a ton the next year. And that was because there was a high demand and almost nobody selling on the marketplace, right? So it didn't matter what I made. It could have been, I mean, to some, it's probably marginally good. But the point was that there was no competition. So when you looked at it, I put a good value on it. I had free shipping, it was Prime shipping there. I had the perfect product at the perfect time for a high demand. And because I was able to tie that research with the product and came up with something that was at least somewhat okay. Obviously if they're looking for pharmacist ornaments, it needs to be ornament style, and that's about all the guidance you get. And I came up with something that was good enough that it sold quite well and people were pleased with it for the period of time. And since then, tons of people have hopped on to just about everything. But if you can do that with the Facebook Marketplace or Amazon or Etsy or whatever it is, if you have a product, you can figure out that there is a demand for it, and you can create it to meet that demand. And this is Entrepreneur 101, right? You fill that gap. You're going to do well until you don't. That's just the way e-commerce works right now. It's so easy to get information now. Even Amazon, people complained about it. There's still multiple lawsuits out against Amazon because and this is a known problem with Amazon, is that if you start doing well, which not well by Kim terms, tens of thousands of dollars is not well. But if you start doing millions of dollars of sales of a single product, they know that because they get your sales. And so I don't know about now as much, but up until maybe a year or two ago, they were notorious for white labeling their own product and competing with you. It was ridiculous. And it's like, that should be illegal. Oh, wait, it is illegal, right? That's why there's lawsuits in there. But that's what happens. When you have a huge marketplace that'll do this to you, somebody that's, as big as Amazon, you've got their people, their buyers and their sourcers in there that are looking at, you could do this without having access to the back end too. That's what the training does. Different training teaches you how to research products that are selling well. So you just have to keep in mind that you're just going to have to keep adapting and building your businesses. But that's where you come into your multiple income streams, right? So if you're doing well let's see, in this case, let's just say you're selling on Facebook Marketplace, right? And then for whatever reason, you're doing well and then you stop doing well. If you can't figure it out, which I do recommend you try, maybe you've got somebody who came in competition or something else, you then add in another marketplace until you find a second marketplace at least. Because like I said, Etsy wasn't doing well for me. But guess what? Walmart did better. So I'm like, hey, you know what? If I optimize my listings and I do better, I don't really have a whole lot of competition on Walmart. I might now, but when I did this a year ago, I didn't. So I'm like, hey, you know what? Maybe I should ramp up my presence on Walmart. Then I would have Amazon and Walmart as my two marketplaces, right? And then, of course, eventually I would have my own website because I did, and then it was Shopify, and then they told me that my stuff was outdated, and I'm like, it's your stuff. How is it outdated? Yeah, you gotta love technology. So I put my shop on vacation while I think about if I want to keep it with Shopify or not. So anyway, those are things that you have to consider. You have to look at, one, if you're talking about in the case of marketplaces, and this is a good one too, right? So when you're thinking about Facebook Marketplace, a lot of people jump to marketing. Oh, well, you're marketing if you're on Facebook. Well, you're selling if you're on the marketplace, right? Marketplaces are a combination of marketing and selling. Because they're doing marketing and because they're a large entity, there's a built-in marketing method there. So really, if you want to have marketing omnipresence and multi-channel selling, you do need to be in the Facebook Marketplace. You need to be in, and in fact, that reminds me, I did try the marketplace for my products. And Facebook, we didn't know this at the time, because part of the Kibo training from 2021 was to sell on the Facebook Marketplace. Well, turns out the 1% of the accounts that have problems with Facebook, I fell into. So I couldn't do like half of the things that they said that I should be doing for selling. And then we realized that something happened to my account where if I list a product, it doesn't get shown to anybody. Kind of weird, right? So I am still working on fixing that, by the way, because Facebook just won't show my marketplace listings to people. It'll say like 2, and I'm like, those are both me and I know it. Or it'll be like me and Chrissy, and it's because we directly went to it. And it's really, really weird. So we don't know why, but there's like a small percentage of accounts on Facebook that have fallen into this problem area, and mine does. And I'm assuming it's because I've moved several times, maybe. I don't know. We'll have to figure it out. But I even went back to when I first started to the marketplace back in, what year? We're in 2021. So that would have been like, I don't know, when the marketplace first came out on Facebook. I was on it and I went back and I looked at it and I said, oh yeah, those never got any views either. So it's been from day one. So if you fall into that category, if I ever figure out how to fix it, I will definitely tell you. But yes, the Facebook marketplace can do well for some people and some products. Same thing with Amazon. You can get on there, and if there's too much competition, if there's you just can't get on, you can't rank well enough, whatever it is, your pictures aren't good, whatever it is, you're not reaching your audience on Amazon, then Amazon won't work for you, right? That's the way it goes. Then you've got, let's see, that's Etsy, same thing. You've got the same challenge with Etsy. Every single marketplace, you're going to have the same challenge. And like me, you could sell your product on multiple channels and have one, like Etsy, that doesn't ever show your product to anybody. And you just can't seem to make any momentum with it. So if you're going to do all the marketing, you might as well send it to your own place then. You've got places like Amazon where you get lucky and you do your research and you can say, hey, yes, this will be a good channel for me because I have a product that's in demand. So this is where we have to start thinking for 2022 because everything's getting harder, right? Getting in front of people is getting harder. Getting accounts not shut down is getting harder. And Facebook Marketplace is one that is shutting down accounts as well, Marjorie. I don't know if you're at risk or not. I don't know what is happening, but I've heard of people getting their Facebook marketing accounts just completely shut down as well. Like they can't access the marketplace anymore to sell. They can buy or they can browse, but they can't sell. And I don't know why. And of course that was a couple months ago that was happening a lot. I haven't checked recently though. So it could have been just a glitch. Who knows? But it's every account, every marketplace you risk, everything that you're doing, there's a challenge with it. So you just have to start building more marketing channels, sell on more marketplaces or sell on more channels, and start creating multiple income streams. And that's kind of what we're going to be talking about going into 2022. So with that in mind, as we're thinking about that, as we're thinking about what we're going to be doing and everything, I put some ideas down here, obviously, e-commerce, drop shipping, selling services, affiliate marketing. We have training on all of them. So you can browse the YouTube channels or YouTube channel and check that out. We're also going to, I'm going to build pages so that way you don't have to, I'm going to build pages on the website so that way you can find them. And of course, we'll also put the more detailed stuff so it's not so boring and we can break it up into like 2 and 3 minute videos. We'll put that into a members area again going into 2022. So that will be coming. There's a lot going on with us building the marketplace and everything. I told my sister I was working on the terms of service, terms and conditions, whatever you want to call them. I was working on those yesterday and I went, oh my gosh, because I was looking at Etsy's and I was reading them and I said, do you realize, because everybody agrees to terms and never reads them, right? So I'm actually reading them. I'm going through and looking at it and I'm going, because I'm looking for the points that I need to consider for ours too. And I'm going, yeah, they actually link out to a bunch of different policies that aren't actually in the terms. So they're like, you need to have this policy and this policy and this policy, and no, this policy and this policy and this policy. And as I read them, their policies like contradict each other, and they basically in there say we can do whatever we want for whatever reason. And I'm like, that's just wrong. And technically I don't think they can do that because they're a public company, but that's just my opinion as somebody with a PhD in business. So one day the lawyers will catch up and say, oh yeah, you know what? That's true. They can't do that. But until that day, we just have to suffer with knowing that all of these marketplaces are untouchable because laws have not caught up. That's what it comes down to. And the laws that are in place, clearly people are struggling on how to apply them, and it should not be that difficult. The government should look at Amazon and say, that's not right. You're stealing other people's information. That's basically espionage. You're violating antitrust laws. I mean, these are things that they are doing, and it should not take years and years and years for them to say, oh, you're doing this wrong and you need to stop doing it. Put in a cease and desist and tell them to knock it off, and then bring them through the courts and start having them pay the fines and paying people restitution. Just do it. But no. And then now we've got other challenges. So anyway, yeah, so this is what we're going to be looking at into 2022 is how do we start making sure we have multiple income streams. And again, this doesn't have to be difficult for multiple income streams. If you are, and we'll have to dive into this deeper another time. I don't want to make this too long, but let's just take this as an example. If you're in, health and wellness is going to be coming up really quick, right? So let's just pretend that's the niche you're in. You're in health and wellness and you're going to be selling exercise equipment. And you're either drop shipping or maybe you're selling it on Amazon, right? So you have it made, you're selling on Amazon, super competitive. I don't recommend it. However, let's just say that you're doing that. So you're selling the product. What can you do to add on a secondary thing, right? Well, it would not be that hard to add on especially if you're collecting emails, affiliate marketing, right? That would not be difficult to do at all. So now you could say, look, I'm going to add on, I'm selling my product on one channel. I'm going to find a second channel to put it on. And that would be one way of expanding into multi-channel. And then I'm going to increase my income streams by adding in affiliate marketing. And maybe once a week, I'm going to find either a product or some sort of health solution, a supplement, something that I can promote to my list as an additional thing for them, right? You're talking to them about building muscle. Oh, look, here's a supplement that I would like to promote to go with that. I think is great. So once a week, I'm going to push them over to this supplement or to this program or whatever it is, right? And so it's not hard to add on since almost every single niche has some sort of affiliate marketing. If you're like, hey, I don't know where to go for that, then hop into the Facebook group. Tell us what niche you're in and what you're looking for if you can't find affiliate products for it. I guarantee you they exist, right? They have affiliate programs for everything. And the worst case is then sign up for the Amazon affiliate program. Good luck with that because it wasn't working for some reason. The sign up wasn't. But if you can't, wait till probably January if you're having too many problems. And then sign up for them or go to Share a Sale if you want to do e-commerce stuff and they have a ton of stuff on there. I mean, there are so many different affiliate programs out there that you can get on and start making money and make that additional income stream, right? That's why we really like to include that. While we really like e-commerce, we also understand that you can't just focus on e-commerce because if you do and you're importing stuff or you're drop shipping or you're even manufacturing your own stuff, you're putting your business at risk of the chance of somebody else coming in and either undercutting you or, ruining your company in some way. And you need to have a secondary income stream while you repair that other one, right? I'm not saying you give up on it. I'm just saying you would repair it, you'd fix it, you'd find out what's going wrong. Find another marketplace, whatever it is you need to do, but you don't want all of your sales to just completely stop, right? And that's what happens to a lot of people who have their Etsy account shut down. They've relied on Etsy for 10 years and all of a sudden their account gets shut down and they're like, I have no other way to sell. I haven't been collecting emails. I haven't been, making sure that people know how to contact me. I don't have any other method of doing anything. I don't have my own website. They don't have anything because they've exclusively sold on Etsy for 10 years. Their account gets shut down and they're like, now what? Right? And so that's what we're trying to avoid that going into 2022 because these are increasing challenges that we need to avoid. And without doing that, we're not going to have a successful business. We're not going to have a business that's going to last a long time. And that's what we want, right? We want businesses that are going to be generating us good amounts of money for long periods of time with hopefully minimal challenges. And again, these are challenges we're going to have to face that I've talked about, but that's okay. We can do it. And so as we get into 2022, again, I've talked about, we are building our own marketplace, but we're actually going to send an invite out early next week to the Little Biz Resources list or anybody who signs up. I have the link in the description, that list as well. And anybody who wants to be alpha stage, which is basically we need to get products on there and find what's broken and what needs to be added, right? Like right now I know we need to add categories, but I'm like, okay, what categories, right? Because we know some categories we can't sell in and there's some categories we're just not going to dabble in, like electronics, right? We're not going to have electronics on the platform to start with. We won't have electronics to sell on to start with because it's too high of a return rate. So we need to wait until we've built up our numbers, I guess, right? So that it doesn't look, so if somebody does if we have a 50% return rate in electronics, we don't have to worry about that because we have a 0% return rate in every other category or something, if that makes sense. So these are just strategies that we're doing to keep the marketplace healthy and keep us going and make it so that, you know, it's the same thing. Every marketplace does this. They start with one. Amazon started with books, right? They got established. They started expanding. They kept adding on as they went. We're not starting with books because that's silly now. But unless we can find a really good book that sells. But yeah, we're going to be starting with, you know, print on demand with, you know, we'll still have handmade on there. We're going to go ahead and we're probably going to keep vintage and like more resale stuff, like, you know, secondhand until later on, until like phase 2. But we will eventually add that on because we know that that is a big challenge for people on Etsy where they're getting shut down because they are selling something Coca-Cola that's 20 years old and they're like, sorry, that's branded, you're shut down, right? Which is not right. And it's like, you're selling vintage Coca-Cola something, so what? That's trademarked, yeah, but you're not selling it as yours. And that's what they're getting shut down for. And so we understand that. And there's no way that anybody can file a cease and desist for selling a vintage Coca-Cola mug, right? I mean, that's just silly. And so we don't know why Etsy's targeting them. We don't know why that's such a problem. But because it is, we want to make sure we have a way to help people sell those products. So as we move forward, though, we will be letting people come on to start listing products, and we have to be and test things. And so we should be able to bring people on next week. So if that's something you're interested in, make sure you're signed up on the list because that's how we're going to give you information on how to do it. And I think I haven't seen any questions yet. So Marjorie, I think you're the only one that's commented. I know I keep seeing multiple viewers pop on and off and on and off, but I don't know how accurate that count is. So if you have any questions, go ahead and pop them in there. And in the meantime, the other thing I'm going to say is that I think we're going to have to change the time and frequency of the live Q&As next year to probably twice a month again. I know we did that once before and it wasn't great, but we're going to have to switch it so that we can do live webinars for the people selling on the marketplace. So I won't be able to do both every single week. It'll be too hard. So we'll probably switch it so that one week we do one and one week we do the other. And yeah, so that'll happen. But I'll announce the new times at the beginning of 2022 once we kind of hash out some other stuff. So I don't see any questions. I know there's a massive delay on this. I'm going to see if I can get to the live chat. Okay. Good, Marjorie. If you're on the list, good. And if not, I'm still going to send it out to everybody who's on the Little Biz Resources list because not a lot of people have been seeing our videos since I had to take a break while we were moving. Yeah. Okay. So no questions. I'm going to go ahead and end it now. If you do end up with questions on the replay or something, you can hop into the Facebook group. You can, of course post it on the video, or you can come live next Thursday. I'll be here next Thursday, and then we'll post the new schedule in January once we have hashed that out. So thanks, Marjorie, for coming, and anybody else who came on, and I appreciate it, and we will see you next time. Thanks.